everybody, my name's Chantel. Welcome to my monthly wrap-up. We are already wrapping up the month of July, which is crazy. And I've got 9 books that I read in July. Well, kind of, because one of them is a DNF. So 8 in a DNF, I guess. Either way, we got to get into it or this video is going to be way too long. So starting off, oh, bye Ava. Starting off with the book I don't have with me is The Hero of Ages. This one is the third in a trilogy. It's part of the Mistborn trilogy. And this one I actually gave 4 stars. Overall, I feel like this book did a really good job of recapping the trilogy. I had a couple months in between each book. Like, I didn't read them back to back. So I think it did a really good job at recapping and like jogging my memory. I also think that the third book, the pacing was almost reversed from the second book. And the first book even. I noticed that his first and second book, it was like a really slow climb and the last 100 pages would just fall off super fast. This one, the third book, I felt it was the reverse. It was go, 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 go. And then I swear the ending was so slow for me. The last 100 pages were dragging on. That's how I felt, at least. I didn't like the ending of this book. That's why it's only a 4-star, not a 5-star for me. I understand why a lot of people would like it. It just wasn't my cup of tea, but it did tell me a lot about the author. So this is the first of his books that I've ever read, and I would be looking for this same ending in his other books. I can't say like more because it ruins the whole series, but it just... The ending of the book says a lot about the type of author that he is. And because I've read this book first, before any of his other series, I would be keeping that in mind moving forward. My main complaints about this trilogy is that it's difficult to follow the fighting scenes. So like book 2, I think was very political. Even just from the start of book 1, the fight scenes were hard to follow because it uses like metal pushing and pulling. And I don't have I can't grasp that in my head. Like, I'm trying to picture it and I can't see it because that's new. That's a whole new concept for me. So I find it really difficult to follow in that respect. But that and the pacing was a little bit weird in the third book. The only thing that I think that's the main thing that holds me back from giving it a 5-star rating. I do, however, think it did a really good job of tying up any loose ends for the trilogy, which, I mean, I guess that's all you can ask for book 3. I think this is a good first series to pick for the Brandon Sanderson. Like, if you're entering into his community and you want to pick a book, I think this is a good first choice. It is a little heavier than what I normally read, but I still enjoyed it. I will also say I read this book in public, and I read in public all the time. I'm reading almost everywhere I go. And this is the first time I actually had someone approach me asking about the book. They hadn't even read it, but they were interested in joining the community, like the Brandon Sanderson community. And I just thought that was really interesting. Like, any of the approaches I got, they were all positive and everything like that. Like, no creeps or anything. But I just thought it was interesting that I read all the time in public and no one ever approaches me. This book, as soon as I read that one in public, people were coming up to talk to me about it. So I feel that shows a lot about the strength of that author's community. Next up that I read was Dial A for Aunties. This one I gave 4 stars. This one's a romance comedy? I don't know. I wouldn't just put it as romance because I feel like comedy is one of the main goals of the author. The main idea behind this book is there's this main character, they call her Meddy. She has a curse in her family. She lives with her mom and is really close with her 3 other aunties. And they're all very tightly knit because all the men in their life have left. Any sons, cousins, husbands, fathers, everyone's died or left. So Meddy thinks that her family is cursed. She then goes on a blind date with someone and ends up killing them. It was totally an accident, but her mother and her 3 aunties end up helping cover up the murder of her blind date. And it all just starts snowballing from there and end up trying to cover up the dead body and move on from there. But it is a very silly read, and I'm giving it 4 stars because it was fun, even though the first 100 pages, it took me a little while to get into it. At the beginning, I was not 100% on the style. Like, I was kind of getting cringe in the first 100 pages, but I wanted to push through. And it is not a serious read, not at all. This is a great poolside read, but if you're looking for something serious and like heartbreaking, no, skip this book. The whole thing is giving Weekend at Bernie's vibes, which I haven't seen the movie, I've just heard references to it, but if I had to compare the book to something, that's what I would compare it to. The reason I don't put this as a romance book, I want to put it half comedy at least, is because it is a little bit of a lighter subject. There's not much of a focus on like developing relationships or anything like that. If you want to categorize it as a romance book, I would be judging it far more harshly. Keep this in mind, light comedy read. Next up on our list, Iron Widow. This one is a YA sci-fi. It's been a while since I've read a sci-fi book. This one was a 5-star for me. I'll tell you right now, do not judge it by its prologue. This world is a lot to digest, and even if you ask me about it now, I'm still sometimes a little bit confused. But I really enjoyed the storyline. The prologue, I remember reading this book. I was looking for my next read, and this was the next on my list, so I picked it up. I read a couple pages of the prologue, and I DNF'd it. But I told myself, you know what, this is a soft DNF. I'm going to come back, revisit it in like a couple weeks and see how I feel. A couple weeks pass and I'm looking at it thinking, I got to read this or it's got to go. So I told myself 50 pages. If you aren't loving it by 50 pages, you can get rid of it. 50 pages in, I'm already loving the book. It was a 5-star read for me. Plotline for this book, we've got our female main character. She is wanting revenge. She wants revenge on the second best pilot in the world. They say pilot, but they're not just planes. Like they're, I think, driving these huge, I don't even know what to call them. Like robots, essentially. They're like huge armored like guardians is my best way to describe it. So how it works is to drive it, you need a yin and a yang. So a male and a female is how they describe it. And only males are pilots. The females are consorts to the pilots. So the female main character wants revenge on the second best male pilot in the world because he actually murdered her sister. Not through like work-related things, like when they give the females to the pilots as consorts, it's essentially sacrificing them. So her sister was to be made a sacrifice, but she didn't even get to that point because this pilot killed her before that. So the female main character wants to get revenge. She manages to get into the pilot program, and let's just say it snowballs from there. But I really enjoyed where it went, and I love a good revenge story. The world and the fight scenes I found really confusing. I wish they had given more of an introduction to key and like fighting types. That's still a little bit over my head. I will definitely be reading book 2, but I'm gonna maybe read some other books before I go into that. A little bit about the book. We've got enemies to lovers, friends to lovers. We have a love triangle that the author takes literally. We've also got some risks, lots of risks, and some betrayals in the plot line. I love a good betrayal. It's got short chapters and some exciting plot. There is a lot of feminism in this book. That being said, when I was on Goodreads marking out my rating, the feminists hated it because it has a very aggressive female main character, and a lot of people didn't like that. So just be wary that if that's not your thing, she is very strong-willed and very aggressive. If it's not your thing, take a pass on this one. Otherwise, very exciting plot, and it had me waiting for the next one. My next book was the DNF. Obsidian Tower. This one's a fantasy book. I can't tell you a lot about it because I DNF'd it at 48 pages. Why did I DNF the book? Well, let's just say we need to bring back better synopses on our books. This one here, well, yes, it does have 2 tiny short paragraphs on the back. Within those 48 pages, those 2 paragraphs had already happened. So I was losing interest in the book, and I couldn't even, my process here, when I pick up a book, I often do it blindly. I go off recommendations on social media. If people are loving it, I don't even read the synopsis because I don't want spoilers. So if they recommend it, I'll read it. And if I'm not feeling it, I might read the synopsis to see where it's leading, if I'm going to enjoy maybe the future hints. Like maybe it's just a slow start. I'm going to give it the benefit of the doubt. This one I read the back. That had already happened in those 48 pages. So here I am, not really feeling the book, and I don't even have any idea of where it's going to go. Is it going to get worse? Is it going to get better? I really don't know. So I DNF'd it. Took me a hot minute to come to that conclusion. Then I told myself, you've got this huge TBR stack on your bookshelf. Go read something you'll enjoy. So that's how I came to terms with DNFing it. I just couldn't get into it, and the main character really frustrated me. Like, I guess she could kill people by touching them, but when someone comes to steal from her castle, she doesn't want to kill them by touching them, but ends up killing them by touching them and releasing this whole evil spirit. And it's like, you could have just saved us all the problem and just killed them right off the bat. It's giving frustration and weak. So for me, I wasn't feeling it. Next up, we have Count My Lies. This one was a 4-star for me. It's a mystery and like suspensey thriller book. I saw a lot of people had this at 5 stars. Some people were even saying this is their best read of the year. I gave it 4 stars because I felt it strongly resembled Gone Girl. And while don't get me wrong, I love the movie Gone Girl. I actually haven't read the book, but I watched the movie. It's probably my favorite thriller suspensey movie. But this one, it was a little too close for me. When I give it 5 stars, when I give a book 5 stars, I want it to be unique and creative in that sense. And yeah, I enjoyed it. It was a great read, but it wasn't unique enough to be 5 stars. All right, plot for this book though, we've got our main character, Sloane, is a compulsive liar. So Count My Lies, we are sitting here not knowing if we can trust our narrator. Right off the bat, we know she's been fired, but we don't know why. It's playing one of those games where they kind of like sprinkle the hints along the way. And she's working in a nail salon, but used to work at a preschool and gets offered a job as a nanny after some manipulation. So we need to find out, what is she lying about, how many more lies is she going to tell, and what sort of a mess is she getting us into. That's the gist of the book. I loved it. I thought the author did a good job at portraying a male and a female POV, which sometimes I notice that authors struggle with. So this one, it rotates POV, and sometimes it's a male, sometimes it's a female. My only negative comment is I hated Sloane. I know people in real life that are like her, the ones that will mold their personality into whoever they're around, in terms of like, you're wearing a hat, so now I'm going to go buy that same hat. And I just find that so annoying. And that's literally the only negative thing I have to say about it. And I guess that it so closely resembled Gone Girl, that's the only reason it wasn't a 5-star for me. If I could have given like 4.5 stars, I would have. But that's the only reason that I'm holding back. Definitely an easy read. I would read it summer or fall even. This would be a good fall book as well. Next one we read, another 5-star. First time caller. I loved this. It gave 2000s rom-com vibes, and I find that's really hard to do nowadays. This book takes place in modern time. I'll start off with that. We have a radio host. That's our male main character. And we have our female main character who has I think she's 12, like a 12-year-old daughter, who phones into the radio station asking for love advice for her mother. So it escalates from there, and they try and find a happy ending for Lucy, our female main character. I just thought it was really sweet and one of the best romance books I've read in a while. I thought the pacing was good. It was a little cheesy and corny, but I ate that up. I didn't really like the ribbing between Aiden, our male main character, and his best friend Jackson. I felt it was too similar to the ribbing that he does between Aiden and Lucy. And I feel like the way you joke with your best friend is not the same way you joke with your crush. That's just my opinion. Another thing is sometimes when we rotated POV, I felt that Aiden seemed like his POV. Sometimes I felt like I was reading Lucy. You know, like just how I mentioned in the other book there, like some authors do struggle writing male main characters when they're doing a rotating POV. And I feel that may have been one of the weaknesses in this book. A couple things I did like. I think there was some decent conflict resolution in this book. I also really liked the female main character. I feel like she was very mature in the sense that she was communicating her feelings. A lot of the books that I've read recently, the female main characters are not able to do that. I also really loved that they touched on Aiden's parents' love story. I thought that was so cute, and it was truly goals. Like, his parents, the fact that they're still in love and together after 3 cancer diagnoses, it just shows the real raw part of a romance and a love story. But they didn't make it the main focus, right? Like, it wasn't a tragedy love story and very sad. They just kind of sprinkled it in there and made the main plot still hopeful and perfect romance that you're probably looking for. It was just nice to have a little bit of realism sprinkled into it. All right, the next one here, Say You'll Remember Me. This one has been all over my TikTok. Everyone's recommending it, and I gave it 2 stars. I hated it. The only reason it's not 1 star is because I did finish it, so it wasn't that bad, but I didn't like it. All right, the gist of this book, though, we have our female main character, her name is Samantha, and we have our male main character, his name is Xavier. They meet because he's a vet, and she brings in a sick rescue kitten that she finds. Once they meet, he's completely cold and standoffish to her, and she calls him out. She tells him that he's being an asshole, and guess what? He falls in love with her. So she ends up raising money to save her rescue cat that she found in a hay bale. And after that, she comes back in for a post-op checkup, right, for her cat, and he asked her out. They have a wonderful first date, but when he takes her home, he looks around her apartment and wonders why it's empty, and she says, I told you I'm leaving tomorrow. Turns out she's moving back home to California to help take care of her sick mom. Her mom is struggling with dementia at a very young age. I believe she's in her 50s, and she's moving home to help take care of her with her other 2 siblings and her father and grandma. So then we enter into a long-distance relationship. They try and make it work, and we just snowball from there. Now onto some of the things that I did not like about this book. 1, there was a lot of internet speak. I am always online. I was able to keep up with the internet speak. I just found it annoying. If I wanted internet speak, I'd be online, not reading a book. I also was annoyed by how many times they mentioned the term going viral, acting like it was something super easy to do and just could do it like that, because that's not very realistic. I also didn't really enjoy the social media aspect of it. Like, the female main character, her job is social media marketing, and I didn't think she was that good at it to be going viral, but that's just my own thoughts. I actually even felt like the reading experience was super choppy. I paused several times throughout the novel just to double check that I didn't have 2 pages stick together. And I have read her other books. I loved her other books. A lot of them were actually 5 stars for me. So I was very surprised about this. Like, she doesn't normally have this choppy feeling to her writing. I also really hated how they wrote Xavier. I feel they made him very stale. When they described him, all they wanted to do was describe him as Reese from ACOTAR, and at this point I hadn't read ACOTAR, but if all you can do is describe him based on another book character's looks, like, he had no, when they were describing him, they wouldn't even give him any, like, characteristics about his personality. It was strictly just, he looks like Reese, and it's like, okay, that's kind of lame, in my opinion. I do also feel he's very unrealistic. Like, every time I look back on the relationship, he was always just cleaning up her problems. Like, every time Samantha made problems, he was just there to fix it. He didn't really have his own purpose. He was just there to make her life easier, I guess. I don't know. It felt like he was aimlessly wandering through her life. And that just doesn't feel like a very realistic male main character. I actually think that is one of the weaknesses for this author, is writing realistic male main characters. I've noticed this in her other books, but this book, it was very obvious. I also did not like how much hate they put towards her younger brother just because he was like Gen Z and just a little bit different. Like, there was so much blame towards him and hate, and anytime he came in, they were yelling at him, and I just thought that was, I didn't like that. That's not how you treat family. I don't care if you get along or not. You don't need to be treating each other that way. One of the things that I do think that she did well in this book was illustrate how much of a toll having a sick family member can take on your family. Overall, I'm giving it 2 stars. I didn't like the relationship aspect, and it is a romance novel, so it didn't hit it for me. Next up, thank God, after a 2-star read, we've got ourselves a 5-star read. We have A Court of Mist and Fury. I know I am so late to the party on reading this. I think this might even be like one of those special night editions. I'm not too sure. But I loved this book. 5 stars. I am a sucker for yearning and betrayal and slow burn. So this was a 5-star read for me. I actually feel like book number 1 was setting up for book number 2. Like, she probably had the idea of book number 2 before even writing book number 1. I really hope that we are going to stick with our female main character's POV for the rest of the series, but I just have a feeling that we won't be. But I don't want to see everyone else's though. I don't want to see her sister's POV. Like, I understand if they're in the story, but I'm not interested in seeing their POVs. What I didn't really like about book 1, like, I rated this higher than book 1. Book 1 was really trial focused, and I just feel like that is so overdone nowadays. I know this series was originally written like 10 years ago, but I'm just reading it now. So for me, the whole trial-based plot is overdone, which is why I really preferred book 2 over book 1. I was actually a little bit nervous because the page count is like over 600 pages, but I scarfed this bad boy down in like 3 days. I'm just a sucker for like a betrayal story, and if you make me trust the character beforehand, oof, I'm dead. Our last book of the month, I just finished this morning, Shield of Sparrows. This is all over TikTok as well. I gave it a 5 stars. Also, just a moment to appreciate how pretty the spine, or not the spine, the pages are. It's all the way on 3 sides, but I give this one 5 stars. I loved it. There was one point where I almost knocked it down to 4, but I just enjoyed reading it so much, I kept it at 5. So some of the monsters in this book are a little bit hard to follow. They're similar to real animals, but then they take like a twist on it. But the gist of the plot is we have a treaty called the Shield of Sparrows, where different countries in the continent marry their princess and their prince, just to pretty much as a treaty to prevent war. So we're doing it in this book. Our main character is the eldest daughter. They call the princess that's getting married the Sparrow, and our eldest daughter is not supposed to be the Sparrow. It's supposed to be her younger sister, because she's been trained since birth to be the Sparrow. But when the prince comes to collect her, he says, no, I want the eldest one. And so that throws a fork in our plans, but it also makes it more interesting. So she goes off to marry the prince of this really secretive country that nobody knows anything about, and it is her job to learn all about it and report back to her father because he's asked her to spy on them. So it goes from there. I will definitely be reading it. Reading book 2, and it was a 5 star. I feel like there was such a slow start to this book. Like 150 pages in, I remember checking in and thinking, I don't even know what's happened. Like, there wasn't much to say. Like, if you ask me, oh, what's happened so far? Nothing. There was so much just traveling for the first, like, I'd say quarter of the book, maybe third of the book. And it was just banter and yearning at that point. So it really distracted you from the fact that it was such a slow plot. But I didn't mind it because it really helped you bond with the relationships and the characters in there. I was actually wondering, I thought this was a standalone book when I picked it up. And that's totally my fault because I did not do the research. But then when I was reading it, I didn't want to look because I felt like that would tell me more about the ending. So I didn't want to look ahead of time. It is a series. I definitely will be continuing this series for sure. I could 100% guess the main plot twist in this book. There were other smaller ones afterwards that I didn't guess, so that was nice. But like the main plot twist, like I could tell right off the beginning it was going to happen. I'd also like to point out that I feel like with this author's writing style, like she's written a lot of books. I just never had heard from her. This is the first one I've read of her books. And I feel like she does not write filler characters. I feel like every single character that she's brought into this book will be there for a reason. I do think that 3/4 of the way through the book, the author changes the way that she writes the male main character, and I don't really like that. I feel like if he's a grumpy, brooding character, he should have kept that way the whole way through, not just have a change 3/4 of the way through the book, but that's just my opinion. I did actually have a good laugh when I was reading this book on Goodreads because I saw one of the comments They gave it 2 stars, but the reasoning was because I think what they wrote is, if you like a lot of questions, you'll love this. But I just laughed because the way that this is formed is you're in the female main character's POV, and she is absolutely clueless about this new country. And so she's asking all these questions in her head and trying to find answers, and that's how you learn in this book. But I just laughed because, yeah, the review pointed it out on the nose. If that bothers you, you're not going to like this book. Nice way to end, I think, July. I had quite a few reads, quite a few 5 stars actually. I think, because this one was a 5-star, 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 5-star. Wow. We had 4 5 stars this month. That is great. I did have a DNF, a 2-star, and a couple of in-betweeners, but 4 5-star books. No wonder I read so much. This is a lot of reading for me normally. But I just wanted to thank everybody if you made it this far. Leave a comment down below if you've read any of these books or if any of them are on your TBR. And you can leave a like and you can subscribe because I do monthly wrap-ups every month. And I'm also posting weekly on Sundays throughout the month as well. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you next week. Bye!